I'm Stephen Barris, your favorite mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. I am joined for the first time not by my good friend Ike Goss, but in fact, my significant other, Liza Barris. Liza, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is a very special Christmas clip show. And because Ike is in the midst of probably dying in the desert, Liza has jumped in as one of the original, if not biggest, if not potentially only fans of the show, to go over some of her favorite episodes. Again, clip show so that I don't have to work as hard right before the holidays. We are adorned with festive garb and actually just sitting across the room from each other. So it's sort of weird to, this is normally very remote. So yeah, so it's great. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I legitimately am a fan. Like that's not just because I'm married to you, but because I usually listen to the show when I'm driving our daughter to school on Monday morning. I you know throw it up on the car sound system and give a listen, and I'm usually the first person to call Steven at like 7:30 in the morning and say, "Did you know that there's a problem at about 13 minutes into the episode where you," and he then has to scramble to go fix it. So,
Yeah. So the reason that only the first 30 or 40 people that listen to the show hear some weird
mhm.
thing, and not everyone, is it's Liza. So
Yeah, I mean, I could do that QC the day before, but what's the fun in that?
no, it's we live dangerously. That's the whole point. This
Yeah.
show happens almost entirely by accident. So, Liza, what is your first pick for a show that that you really connected with this year?
That's a great question. I think we're gonna dive all the way back to the episode where Ike has dealt with a surprisingly large number of rodents in Land Rovers, and
Yes.
there was a Land Rover that you guys talked about where a rat did 20,000 pounds or dollars of
Yeah. Pounds.
damage
Yeah.
to a vehicle?
Yeah, you're talking about episode 16, A Rat Eats a Disco, which recounts the unfortunate incident in the UK that happened this year, where a family of rats nested inside of someone's Discovery and completely destroyed it.
Can I say roll that clip? Is that
Oh,
appropriate here?
I
Can I
think you
say,
can. I think,
"Steven, roll that clip"?
okay, here we go.
Yeah, speaking of vehicles that might need some work, uh, let's talk about this this Land Rover that was infested with rodents.
Yeah, so I read an article earlier this week about a gentleman who had parked his Land Rover, brand new Land Rover, I believe it was Discovery, overnight. He was visiting some family somewhere in the Midlands, in the UK, and so he parked this car overnight. Came out in the morning, and I guess it didn't start properly, or it was acting odd, or something was off. And brought it to the repair shop and realized that rodents overnight had infested the car and done 20,000 pounds worth of damage to the car. So far as they'd made a nest with wet wipes underneath the carpets and the floor of the car. They had burrowed through the plastics of the doors and set up nests and things like that. And essentially, you know, I wouldn't say nearly destroyed because I believe it's being repaired and it'll be put back into service, but very came very close to destroying this brand new car. So thought it was an excellent opportunity, Ike, to put in a top tech tool tip, tech top tip about keeping animals out of your Land Rover. Do you have any good advice for keeping things, rodents and things from your Land Rover?
You know, rodents like nesting material and bedding, and they like a warm environment, and they like to be kept out of the weather, and they like a food source. So if you remove the top, you take out all the interior and wiring, and all the mats, and all of that, then you probably won't have any rodents in your car. But step one,
Yeah, it's a good thing.
remove the
I
roof.
remember, yeah, step 1, remove the roof and all the seats. I remember that I think it was the Mini Cooper
Mhm.
when it re-debuted, BMW relaunched it in what, like the mid 2000s,
Early aughts,
early
yeah.
2000s, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2002
early
maybe.
aughts. There was an option of like what kind of sounded like a taser that went in the undercarriage so that if rodents tried to crawl in, it would essentially tase them.
Whenever I have the
I just
opportunity to
remember
get a
seeing it as an
taser in the
option.
undercarriage, I always check that box.
Yeah, you always want the, undercarriage taser. That's a good so in this case, a rodent preventing undercarriage taser would have gone a long way, for this poor gentleman's Land Rover, so hopefully he gets it,
It was a staggering
sorted out. I
amount of
know I
damage.
once, it's a huge amount of damage. I mean, and they actually in the article, and maybe I'll put a link to the article in the description of the show in the show notes. They show like pictures of dead rodents because I guess a few died overnight in there, which like it seems like one hell of a rodent party
I'm
happened
not like
inside this
I'm
guy's
not
car. I'll tell you that
I'm
much.
not NCIS here, but I think that the timeline on this rodent homicide is a little off. I feel like overnight it's a lot of damage for one night.
It is a lot of damage for one night. Like, is there? Yeah, are you saying that there may be something more nefarious at foot here?
I'm
That
saying
this
maybe there
gentleman may
was
not.
more rodents. There might not just be a single rodent. There might be multiple rodents. I'm also saying maybe
Oh
this
no,
guy
it sounds like it was a rodent
exaggerated.
party.
He may have exaggerated the amount of time that he was there to his insurance company. I'm just saying that might have happened.
It is fantastic, and I can't help but think that, Ike is right, and that there probably was more of a rat party over, possibly a week or 2. I don't know that we've ever done a deep dive, or a follow-up on that. That may,
Well, I will say that what I know of rodents is that where there is one, there is never just one. There are many. So I fall into that same camp of believing that I think there were many, and I think it was a lot longer than they said.
yeah, definitely worth a listen. Episode 16, Ike also talks about, his, encounters with,
He's
rodents.
had a lot of Land Rovers with rodents, and yeah, ugh,
I don't think
I
it's just
guess
Land Rover related. I think that there's
I guess it
more.
comes with the
Yeah, it's a
territory.
there's a lot of Ike in that as well. I think he attracts them, but yeah, it is a so up next. What was another one of your favorite sets of episodes? I know that you, like many, are a fan of the Summer Breakdown because it's always fun to listen to Ike almost die.
Yeah, but I think I have a uniquely different perspective on the summer breakdown. So to set it up for your listeners, Ike and Linus, and if you haven't listened to the summer breakdown, you should stop listening to this episode right here, right now, and you should go listen to both episodes of the summer breakdown. Um, First of all, it is an absolute miracle that Linus and Ike did not die on that trip, and that is not an exaggeration. They are insane. But they prior to leaving for this crazy road trip, they came down and they stayed in our house. And so I saw their sort of prep and their lead up to the summer breakdown from a slightly different perspective. So I definitely resonate very deeply with like my own backstage perception, as it were, of how that whole thing got underway.
Yeah, in fact, you hadn't met Linus,
No,
prior to, that, encounter, and,
that's correct.
although Jerry McGovern thinks that Ike and I are, related, it is it's a fair assertion to think that Linus and, his adult son, Ike are actually related because those 2. Yeah.
No joke. So they rolled in quite late, and or maybe I rolled in quite late. One of us was quite late, and I didn't meet them before everybody went to bed, and we got up in the morning and I came down the stairs and I was looking at the back of what I thought was Ike until Ike came around the corner and was looking at me, and I realized it was I had one of those Spider-Man meme moments where I was like, "Wait, there's how which one is the real Ike?" So
It's true, from behind, Ike and Linus look identical.
they look
Yeah, it's
identical.
impossible to,
And they probably don't appreciate me making that comparison, but like I was definitely thrown. And then we went for breakfast And I heard them I'd only heard part of the story. I only knew they were coming to town and they were gonna go get Jason Momoa's motorcycle and they were gonna drive a Model T, and it sounded crazy, but then going for breakfast and getting the whole story and hearing about all of the things they had to do in the next, like, 36 hours to get ready for this trip was, yeah, it was kind of shocking and fun and a little bit wacky to listen to them talk and just be like, "Uh-huh, yeah, okay, that sounds like a are you sure? You guys sure?" And hearing them firsthand tell the story of trying to unload the vehicles out of the U-Haul, that was really funny.
Yeah, it was if you weren't there, it was a good time. So, let's listen in on that moment. The next morning, of course, we have to get the car out of the U-Haul truck. And
Yeah.
that started off by saying, first of all, "Okay, I've got these ramps. Don't worry about it. No problem."
This is something we should mention. We couldn't bring ramps with us because then the ramps would be we couldn't carry them on the
Yeah.
motorcycle or the
Right. So
speedster.
fortunately, you had some.
Unfortunately, I had ramps until I went to find the ramps and realized I had lent them out and that they had been thrown away by the person that I had lent them to. So we started the day by first going to procure ramps, which took no less than I think 3 Harbor Freights to finally find a set of ramps that
Single-use ramps.
theoretically
Single use
theoretically
with a capacity of 1,600
were
pounds.
rated for the vehicle. We figured there would be a safety margin, built in them. So we went and procured the ramps, got the ramps into the parking lot of my workshop, and sort of set them up against the car and strapped them down. Everything felt pretty good. We got the floor jack out to move the car centered to take up that 3 inches of stick out, and started backing the car out of the out of Ike and I standing pretty far back. And Linus, maybe explain a little bit about how the controls of the Model T work, because it's not trivial to simply, well, okay, just get in and push it out. It's no big deal, whatever, right?
Well, the thing about the Model T is that it doesn't really have a good neutral
Right.
where there's nothing connected to something else. If you get out of the car and leave the emergency brake disengaged, then that leaves the pedal in high gear. So if you don't put on the emergency brake, then the car is in high. So if you do put on the emergency brake, then the car is held in neutral. But neither of those lend well to pushing,
Right.
either being in gear or having the emergency brake on. So one thing you can do is have a person sit in the car and push the left pedal to the middle position, which is neutral, and then it's sort of in neutral, but then you're spinning some bands inside of the cold transmission full of oil, and it's not exactly easy to push. So we had decided to have me just drive it out. And so that means holding the left pedal in the neutral position and pushing the other pedal, which is the reverse pedal. So I was backing out and it was all wonderful until the oil pan caught on the edge of the truck.
Yeah. And just then is when the Harbor Freight ramp decided to go. And we very quickly said, drive back in, drive back in, drive back in.
Hurry, put it back, put it back, put it back, put it back.
Yep. It is, again, every time I hear it, it's a miracle that that trip even got started. The fact that we got that stupid car out of the back of that goddamn U-Haul. And I still have those destroyed Harbor Freight ramps downstairs. So we'll maybe throw those up on the Underpowered Hours store if somebody would like them.
I particularly am a big fan of the returning of the U-Haul and the shenanigans that ensued around trying to get that U-Haul back, without paying all of the, fees
Yeah, with
because
essentially without having to buy that U-Haul.
right, essentially,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Linus was almost the proud owner of a slightly used U-Haul. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
great couple of episodes over the summer. We're working on next year's
Yeah.
summer breakdown already.
I do have to say what one of the things I think you did right about that episode was not letting Ike tell you until you interviewed them a lot of the details. Like obviously the parts that you were there for, you knew what happened. But there were a lot of details that we were only getting the bare minimum while they were on the road, basically just checking in to make sure they hadn't died
Hmm.
and hearing that they had some potential problems, but not knowing a lot of the details. So I do have to say, hearing you interview them and hearing you hear some of that for the first time made me really really happy. Yeah, and I was one of those crazy people and driving to school and reacting live to what I was listening to. No, no, really, that's why they, oh man, geez, it was great. It was really
Yeah,
really fun.
keeping
I got
keeping
really
count
into
of
it.
how many times Ike nearly died on that trip. It's always fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would get the text from them as to where they were stuck and what needed to happen, and if we could try to figure out some parts or something. But then once they got back, I swore them both to secrecy. To
Mhm.
say I don't want to know anything in any more detail than I have because I'd like to just sort of
Yeah.
this needs to be a show. We need to do this, and that was a lot of fun. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
I
that.
really appreciate that, and I look forward to the other variations on the theme that we have been talking about for 2022.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. It is gonna be a crazy 22 and an even crazier 23. Lots of stuff in the pipe there. So finally, a set of episodes around a particular version of Land Rover that we, of course, are very partial to because of our ownership of one of
For
those
sure.
of vehicles. But you took a particular liking to the camel trophies being sold throughout this year.
Well, I thought that these were good episodes to choose because very early on in the show, I think it's episode 11 or 16,
Yeah,
I don't know,
11.
you're
Yeah.
going to tell me.
Yeah, 11.
11. So episode 11 you guys talk about a Land Rover Disco that goes for $90,000 and it's
Yeah, the
like your
first camel that sold on, Cars and Bids was, yeah,
that's right. And you guys
$90,000.
talk about it a little bit and maybe it's better to just roll the clip and then we can do the next part.
Alright, so here's the clip of the first time a camel sold on the internet. Speaking of extraordinarily expensive things you will come from far and wide to see, I'm not sure if you were following the cars and bids over the past couple of weeks, but there was a 1992 Land Rover Discovery that just happened to have competed in the 1992 Camel Trophy that sold for no less than $90,000, which I am not sure, but given Camel Trophy's discoveries that I know of that have sold in recent memory, that is, if not the top, certainly near the very top price that anyone has ever gotten for one. And interesting because Cars and Bids, which is Doug DeMiro from Auto Trader, it's his sort of by personal, I guess. I don't know. It's the car bidding website that he sponsors, and this is certainly the most expensive Land Rover that's ever sold on the site, and kind of an interesting place to find weird-ish Land Rovers. North Carolina tried to sell their Trek Discovery through that website. It didn't end up selling. I think it closed at about $58,000 and didn't sell. But anyways, Camel Trophy's an interesting car, especially one titled in the United States. And Jim West, who along with Dan Ammon were the two drivers of the '92 U.S. team car, which this car happened to be. And Jim had actually popped into the thread and was talking about it, and sort of a pretty interesting going on over the course of the week.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of the discussion and the bidding, and I was also surprised at the final result. But they're definitely a market segment that's in demand. A lot of interest in the classic Camel Trophy vehicles, and Land Rover reintroducing the quote unquote Trophy Edition Defender probably fuels some of that interest for those classic vehicles as well.
All
So
right.
yeah,
So $90,000 seemed like a big deal.
Oh, it was a huge deal. I mean, Land Rover, Camel Trophy trucks have sold on the internet before, but never in like an auction format like that, and never. It was, yeah, it was kind of crazy.
As somebody who doesn't follow that at all, I mean, you tell me at every opportunity of every Land Rover that ever sells ever, and this seems to matter greatly to you. I'm pretty ignorant to whether or not that is a super high number. But because I had the context from episode 11, just a couple weeks ago, when that Land Rover sold for over $140,000, that was insanity, and I just thought that those 2 episodes were really nice to highlight because you guys are so quick to say, like, that $90,000 one might be the most expensive camel ever to go, and then, like, they blew it out of the water 7 months later.
Yeah, and that's in episode 41, and, we'd actually made a guess in episode 40 that maybe I think Ike had somewhere in the 80s, I had somewhere maybe in the 90s, and, my god, yeah, after seller's fees and everything, well over 140 by the time that car gets to wherever it was sold to. I mean, that is a huge, mega investment. Now, I have it on good authority that there will be another one coming up next year, not a Discovery this time, but a Defender, which I think will fetch even more. And I've committed to Ivan and Dan and Ike and I, the guys from Rover Talk, are going to do an Instagram live, and we'll commentate
I'll
on the
teach you
sale live.
how.
Yeah,
I
please do
don't
because
think
I have
any of you know how, but I'll teach you, don't
no
worry.
idea.
I'll show you how to do it.
Absolutely no idea. So yeah, like you mentioned, there's a couple of fun segments coming up this year. We're gonna do you and I. We're gonna have you back on for a segment we're calling "Tales from the Road." Which we will recount a couple of interesting automotive trips that we have found ourselves on over the years that have, of course, gone horribly sideways. And so we'll definitely have you back for that.
I mean, horribly sideways, might sound like an exaggeration, but it's not. They were, I mean, spectacular failures,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
that are worth telling and that, I don't know,
I'll leave
hopefully
it at
cool.
a Nissan Qashqai on a hiking trail in the middle of rural Italy. And
I
we'll
wasn't even thinking of that one, but we do have to tell that story. I was thinking about the white Mustang on the, uncharted, closed road on the south side of Maui.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, with
yeah,
the keys locked in the trunk. Yeah,
yeah.
that's for another episode. But Liza, as you know, every guest that comes on the show, and technically you count,
Oh, no.
does have to go through the world famous. Torture tested
Okay,
lightning round. Unfortunately, Ike is not here. I've only done it once before, and
I believe in you.
we'll get through it. But all right, are you ready?
No, but I will answer your questions, probably regret all of my answers after the fact.
Well, they'll be harshly judged by the audience. So,
That's fair.
leaves or coils?
Coils.
All right. Gas or diesel?
Diesel.
Okay. Hard top or soft top?
Hardtop.
Bronze green or Tambora orange?
Bronze green.
Okay. 90 or 110?
Oh, 110. I have a very strong opinion about this. 110, 100%. In fact, you even mentioned it on the show recently. 110.
But I
I
think
stand
90.
by my
90
decision.
is the right answer, though, I think. Favorite podcast host?
Um, Ike Goss.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we both knew it was going that way. Best way to get gear oil out of your underwear?
Uh, your underwear or my underwear?
I mean, I guess that's up to you.
um, throw them away and buy new ones.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's still in there, quite frankly, if it's mine. It has never been removed. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Liz. We appreciate it. And like I said, we'll have you back on the show and to leave, us for the year, as this will be the last show of the year. We thought a fun segment maybe. Many people don't know why. All of a sudden, Ike started throwing in a custom intro to every episode. But that is actually a Liza suggestion, our number one fan and potentially only fan. Um, and by
Well, I think back in the days when I was probably the only one listening to the show,
that is
I
still probably today. So I don't know that it's
that
back in
might
the
be
day.
true,
Yeah.
but there was a time where I was definitely the only person listening, and I listened to, you know, the first 10 or 15 episodes kind of back to back, and it all sounded the same, but it was like this setup, this great setup for Ike to throw something new and different in every single week. And now I kind of live for it. I kind of really look forward to it. I think he likes it too. I think he really
I
enjoys
can tell you
coming up
that the
with them.
process started off extraordinarily frustrating and that it would take Ike probably 20 minutes to come up with one at the beginning of every session. Now, though, he comes in with them pre-canned and ready to go. It is also, it's funny enough, it's my favorite part of the show because I don't know what he's going to say before he says it. And I do. They're delightful.
I think that if you ever have to do an episode where he has to record it without you, you need an entire episode of Ike Goss dad jokes. That man has some of the funniest, corniest, most terrible jokes on the face of the planet. Ike Goss has probably made me laugh harder than just about anybody on the face of the planet. He it might not be obvious to every listener, especially if you've only listened to 1 or 2 episodes. Ike doesn't seem like that, but oh my god, he has had me with tears streaming down my face, dying of laughter.
He's had me streaming tears down my face as well, but it wasn't
Totally
because
different
something had a
reasons.
completely different reason. Wasn't
Yeah.
funny at all. So to end the year and this episode, we thought it might be fun to put together a supercut of what I like to call the Ike intro, and so we'll leave you with that. Thanks for everything this year, Liz. Thanks for being on the show,
Thanks
and
for having me.
dear listeners, thank you for sticking with us over what has been something that we thought would be a fun idea and has now turned into something that maybe a couple of people actually tune in and listen to. So hopefully everyone has a safe holiday and gets out to the workshop and turns a wrench or gets out on the trail and gives some new pinstriping to the side of your vintage Land Rover. So, again, thank you, everyone, and we will see you, hopefully, in 2022.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm old torn elephant hide vinyl to Steven's Corinthian leather. I'm the ratty torn soft top to Steven's dual moonroof. I'm the hammer rivet to Steven's pop rivet. The no power steering of podcasting. I'm the manila rope to Steven's Dyneema. The tow rope of podcasting. I'm the leaky wheezing heater to Steven's dual zone climate control. The Smith's round heater of podcasting. I'm the positive ground electrical system to Steven's negative ground electrical system. The Sparky dashboard of podcasting. I'm the slam latch to Steven's anti-burst latch, the tuck and roll of podcasting. I'm the rattly red lever to Steven's terrain response dial. I'm the noisy transfer case of podcasting. I'm the moldy horsehair headlining to Steven's sculpted micro suede. I'm the slowly disintegrating interior of podcasting. I'm the deafening gearbox whine to Steven's 20-speaker Meridian sound system. I'm the incessant drone of bad life choices. I'm the box of mismatched spanners and a torch with low batteries in your underseat tool compartment to Steven's Platinum roadside assistance. I'm the involuntary mobile mechanic of podcasting, Ike Goss.